So, today is going to be both a cautionary tale about Bible headers and a conversation on the way we should act around unbelievers in the context of doing things that might seem to an unbeliever as sinful or at least not godly. For this, we're going to be taking a look at 1 Corinthians 8 and 9. And to start off with what I was saying earlier, the cautionary tale on headers. So right now in this study Bible that I'm using, it is the Quest Study Bible. It doesn't say it on the cover. It has a tendency to break things up quite a bit. For chapter 8, we have a header called Concerning Food Sacrificed to Idols. And then in chapter 9, we have Paul's rights as an apostle, Paul's use of his freedom, the need for self-discipline. And all these headers are really helpful if you're just trying to navigate to specific passages. But what they end up doing is they end up splitting Paul's letter to the Corinthians into multiple different sections when really it is one continuous flow of thought. Let's look at chapter 8 and see what I mean here. And by the way, I'm going to be skipping around between verses. So if you want to find out the correct verse number for any of this stuff, I insist that you go to 1 Corinthians 8 and 9 yourself and figure out what verses I'm quoting. Be careful, however, that the exercise of your rights does not become a stumbling block for the weak. For if someone with a weak conscience sees you, with all your knowledge, eating in an idol's temple, won't that person be emboldened to eat what is sacrificed to idols? So the premise of this entire chapter kind of rests on this line, which is don't engage in actions that could be seen to unbelievers as ungodly. But then in chapter 9, when Paul begins to talk about the rights he's afforded as an apostle and the fact that he doesn't use them fully, this actually plays into that earlier piece. Am I not free? Am I not an apostle? Have I not seen Jesus our Lord? Are you not the result of my work in the Lord? This is my defense to those who sit in judgment on me. Do we not have the right to food and drink? And the we in this case is the apostle. Paul goes on to say in this same chapter, but we did not use this right. On the contrary, we put up with anything rather than hinder the gospel of Christ. What then is my reward? Just this, that in preaching the gospel I may offer it free of charge, and so not make full the use of my rights as a preacher of the gospel. And my point is this. Paul is talking about the sacrifices that we need to make not being a stumbling block for other unbelievers by doing things that we may be allowed to do under Christ, but may be perceived wrongly or as ungodly by those who aren't in the know. Likewise, Paul is talking about the sacrifices that he has made personally as an apostle, not to receive any sort of services from the people he's preaching to, as to not be a stumbling block for them by appearing as though he is taking advantage of them. But let me know what you think, and I'll see you tomorrow.